Hey, I'm Sam from Barn2, and this video is your complete guide to Document Library Pro. Whether you've just purchased the plugin or you've had it for a while and you're curious to learn more about it, this video can be your go-to guide. Document Library Pro is one of our best-selling plugins because of how easy it is to create fantastic-looking libraries that organize and display all of your documents. They come with search and filtering options, as well as preview and download capabilities. The plugin comes in two versions, Essentials and Advanced. Essentials is perfect for simple document libraries, while Advanced includes powerful extras like drag and drop uploads, CSV imports, version control, and comprehensive access protection. Just note that for this tutorial, I'll be using the Advanced version of the plugin, but if you have the Essentials version, that's okay too. Most of the features are the same, and I'll point out any differences along the way. So let's jump into the installation and setup, but remember you can jump to any part of the video using the timestamps available on YouTube. Now, as a premium plugin, you will need to purchase it before you can install it on your WordPress website. You can purchase it using the first link in the description below this video. And as always, it comes with our 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not sure about buying today, that's okay. You can launch an admin demo from our website, link below, and you can follow along with this tutorial and check out all the settings in a demo site. After purchasing your preferred version of the plugin, you'll get an email with a zip file and a product key for activation. In the WordPress admin, go to Plugins, click on Add New, then Upload, and then choose the file that you just downloaded. Click Install, and then Activate. If it's the first time installing the plugin, then the Setup Wizard should launch. But because I've already installed the plugin before, I need to go to the Plugin Settings page, and then launch the Setup Wizard manually. Now, seeing as this is a complete setup tutorial, I want to show you the key settings that you need to configure, and then I'll go into more details later on. On this first page, you can paste your license key and then click Next. Step 2 is where you can choose a layout for your main document library. And don't worry about it too much right now because you can always change your mind later on. Let's see the options available for the table first, and then we can also choose whether we want to enable the folders display option. Again, we can disable this later on if we don't like it. There's also a setting for previews, and then you can click on Next. Now, because I chose the table layout, on this page, I can choose what columns to include in my table. So for example, by default, I have the title and link columns, but I would like to add a few more than that. So let's choose a few more. I think a summary is a great thing to add, as well as a file type, file size, and maybe we can even add one for a download option. If I want to reorder any of the table's columns, I can just click and drag them like this, and that will move them from left to right or right to left along the table. Now that I have all my columns set up, I can choose if I want to allow multi-downloads. In other words, by leaving this box checked, people can download multiple files at once. And then there's also an option for lazy load in case you want to increase the performance of your document library. Then you can click on Next. For those of you who chose the grid option, I'll show you what that looks like as well. Here you can choose what items are going to be included in the grid tiles that will be displayed in your document library. If you want to include an image, like a feature image for each document, you can check the box, and you can go through the list and check or uncheck any of these that you like. You can also specify which fields may or may not be clickable. By default, it's set to all. Now let's move on to filters. By default, the search filters are disabled, but I recommend you enable a few of them. Let's use the custom filters option and then create a comma-separated list. I'd like to add my categories and tags. Then I can click on Next, and the setup is complete. So let's go to the settings page to begin the next part of the tutorial. Now, before we dive into the details, let me just quickly show you how the plugin is organized in your WordPress admin. The plugin creates a documents menu item, and underneath that, you have your All Documents page, which lists all the documents you've already added into your site. There's an Add New button to quickly add new documents from scratch. The Categories page is for adding and organizing your document categories. Tags are also useful for keeping things organized. Then there's the Settings page, which has multiple different tabs where you can update the functionality and design of your different document libraries. And then if you have the advanced version, you'll also have this bulk import option, as well as an access control page. So we'll explore each of these in more detail throughout the video, but now you know where everything lives. So let me take a pause for a second and explain exactly what a document is in WordPress. The Document Library Pro plugin creates a custom post type called Documents that you can see listed on the menu in the WordPress admin. This just makes it convenient for us to add any type of file that we like to our document library, which could include resources that are available for people to read directly on your website without having to download anything, kind of like a blog post, or downloadable files that are normally stored in the WordPress media library, for example, a PDF, image, or a PowerPoint presentation. It could also be a downloadable file that's stored on a third-party platform like Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft SharePoint, or Box. Or it could even be a link to a web page, either on your own website or a different website. Basically, if you can store it as a file on your computer or link to it, then you can create a document with it and share it with our plugin. Now, one more thing. Before you go ahead and add all of your documents to your library, you need to consider the structure of your document library, including things like categories and tags. It's a lot easier to keep things organized from the outset than to go back and retroactively fill in all these categories and tags later. With categories, you can create hierarchical groups and subgroups with unlimited levels. For example, this investments category is nested inside the finance category. It inherits all of the privacy and protections from the finance category and can be found in the same folder or when filtering by the parent category. And tags can be like labels for your documents. It's recommended to add tags or some kind of label for each document. So for example, you could use tags for the document year, the publisher, the topic, the type, or something else. And if you want multiple types of labels, then you can do this by creating custom taxonomies to use as well as tags. You can even use custom taxonomies to add additional labels similar to tags. And this is great because your document library can also include columns for categories and tags, as well as the filters that we already set up earlier in the video. Now let's talk about the various different ways that you can add documents to your library. Option 1 is to literally create a new document by clicking on this Add New button. And it's very similar to creating a new WordPress post, sort of like a blog post, as I mentioned. You give your document a title and add all of the document content using the WordPress media editor. You can add things like an excerpt, edit the slug, and if you have the advanced version, give it some access control as well. Over here on the side, you can choose a category, or if it doesn't exist yet, you can add a new one with this button here. Then you can also add different tags, include information about the file type, add a featured image, and if you're actually adding a file from your computer, you can specify if it's a file upload or a URL-based file. In other words, if it's a URL, it'll be located somewhere on the web. If it's an upload, you're just going to upload it from your computer. You can then save a draft or immediately publish your document for everyone to see. Option 2 is to select documents that are already in your media library. Click on this listing option, and then use the bulk actions to select as many different files as you want, and click on Add to Document Library, and then click Apply. This is a way to add a lot of documents very quickly, but there can be some information missing, like the document tags and categories, which you'll need to fill in later yourself. If you have the advanced plan like I do, then you also get some additional importing options. Option 3 is to drag and drop your files to upload them into this box here, or you can select them just like any file, and it will automatically import them into your document library. Finally, there's the option to use a bulk import with CSV. You can then upload it to this import page and go through the steps to map all the fields to your document data and then run the importer. In our knowledge base, you can find a sample CSV, which might help you to format your data before you import it. And finally, available in both plans is a document submission form. You can create a form and allow users to submit documents to your library. I cover this in a separate tutorial, which you can watch in the video card up here. No matter what though, be sure to add as much information about each document that you can, including relevant search phrases, categories and tags as I mentioned, and anything else you think might be relevant for people searching for those documents. The more time you spend keeping things organized, the easier the user experience will be for anyone on your website. Now it's time for the fun bit, seeing your document library for the first time. First, go to the Pages section in your WordPress admin, and then scroll down until you see the document library page, which was created by the plugin. From here, you could click to edit this page, and you can rename it to anything you like resource directory or something more specific for your use case. Then you can click on this button to view the page, and you can see the page is set up with the folder system. When I click on a category, it opens the folder and shows me the grid tiles. I'm not a huge fan of this particular layout option. Perhaps just showing the grid tiles without the folders would be better, or showing the table within the folders. But I'll show you how to set all that up in the next steps. For now, you can see our custom category and tag filters, as well as a search bar to help us find different documents. One more thing that's rather important. Don't forget to add the document library page to your site menu by going to Appearance and Menus. Depending on your site's theme, this may have a few different steps, but you'll need to select the page from the left here and add it to the menu on the right like this, and then click on Save. And then when you refresh the page, the document library will be added to your top level menu. Of course, you don't have to add it to your main header menu, but add it somewhere in the directory so people can find it easily. So now that we've had a play around with adding documents and seeing how our library looks, let's play around with the settings so we can modify it to our liking. So for this, we'll head back to Documents, and then we'll click on Settings. And first, I'll just review what's on this general settings page. These settings will apply to your default document library. If you set up custom document libraries, then those settings may override what you see on this page here. So scrolling down, you can update which page you want your document library to appear on. You can also use these options to manage the fields that are used to store information about your documents. And advanced users will also have version control. And when enabled, you can choose to update and replace old files with new ones. At the bottom of the page, there's options for the front-end document submission form. And finally, at the bottom, you can permanently delete all of your document library settings and data when you uninstall the plugin. So be careful using this in case you don't want to do that. Now back at the top here, we can click on Display, and let's change our default layout to the table option. We've already set up our columns, but when we scroll down, you can see that there are some additional settings for things like the document title, the sorting options, and the download button style. There's also the preview button and multi-download options. And finally, there's the folders. I'm going to disable the folders for the moment so we can see what the table looks like without the folder structure. Then we'll click on Save Changes and have a look at the Search tab. At the moment, we do have our custom search filters set up, and we'll write in doc categories and doc tags with a comma-separated list to make sure that those show up everywhere. We'll click on Save Changes and head over to the Design tab, where things can get quite interesting. Within the Design tab, I can click on this Custom button to set up a custom style for my table. These are preset styles that have been created by the plugin developer in case you want to use something that already looks great out of the box. I'm going to select this blue option, but if I wanted to, I could update the colors being used in these boxes here. That way you can match it to your brand's precise color style. You have a lot more options here as well, and then you can click on Save Changes. The single document page is just for editing what information will appear when people open a single document as its own web page. You can select or deselect any of these different items. Obviously, the more information, the better in terms of the user experience. And then finally, in the Advanced tab, you have some special custom formatting options, and you can also update the table options like lazy load or caching to improve performance. There's also pagination options, and you can select how many documents per page and whether or not you want to show the different pagination options on the table and where they will appear. For example, you could move the document total to the top of the library, or you could make it hidden. You'll notice that some of these options are the same as what we had in the setup wizard, but now you know where to find everything in case you want to make some more changes. We'll save those changes and check out what we've done to our document library. And straight away, you can see that our document library now appears as a table where we have the title, as quick summary, file type, file size, and then download links as well as buttons so we can download multiple items at once, and a downloads column which shows how many different downloads the file has. Now, if you're using the advanced plan, you'll see an extra menu item called Access Control. This is where you can limit who can see and download your documents. Previously, this function was served by another one of our plugins called Password Protected Categories, but now it's been built directly into the advanced version of our plugin. Let me show you how it works. So at the moment, my document library visibility is set to public, but if I switch it over to protected, I can choose from a range of different protection options. I could start with password protection, where I enter a password, and only the people who have that password and enter it on the page can actually see the library. I could also set up user roles within my website, like administrators, editors, etc., who can view the library once they're logged into my site. Furthermore, I can even add specific users who are members of the site, and they can access as well once they're logged in. Finally, I can also allow the user who created the document to be able to view it. Now, there's also a setting here called Show Protected Documents. What this option will do, if you've checked, is it will show protected categories and documents in the public areas of your site, but the links and previews for those documents will still remain protected. So people can actually see that the document is there, but they won't be able to access it as such. You can also protect specific categories of plugins while leaving others public. So to set up protection for your document categories, click on the Categories section over here, and then under any different document category, like this finance one, if I click on Edit and I scroll down, I can see the visibility options the same as we had on the previous page. I can set up who will be able to see this document category, or I can choose to have the protections inherited from a parent category. You can then click on Update, and that category will have those new protections. Making changes on a per category basis will override any global settings that you set up on the access control page. Then for the most granular level of control, you can even protect individual documents. This is useful when you have sensitive documents in an otherwise public category. Just edit any document from your list of all documents, and then scroll down until you find the access control, and you can see that at the moment it's set to inherited. But if you select protected, then you can add the various different types of protection that we've already discussed, and that will apply just to this document, regardless of the protection levels of the category or the entire library. Now back here on the access control page, I'll just scroll down and talk a little bit about the login form. The Document Library Pro plugin does come with a shortcode or a Document Library login form block that you can use to create the login form on any page. I'll just show you how that looks. So let's go to Pages and add a new page. We'll call it our document login. And then we can search for the Document Library login form block, or we can add the shortcode using a shortcode block. This shortcode can be further edited to control the parameters of the login page, and you can find those shortcode options in our knowledge base. For now, I'll remove the shortcode so we don't have a duplication. Then I'll click on Publish, and we'll check out that page. Now to test this login page, I'm going to open it on a different browser. And now I can enter the simple password that I created, press on Login, and it'll automatically redirect to my document library page. If anyone tries to access a document that's protected individually, they'll also be met with the login page. Going back here for a moment, we can see that there are further options to set up the login form. If I want to see both types of login options, the password and the user access, then I can check both of these boxes. And furthermore, I can edit the text, which will be shown before somebody logs in and views the document. You can also choose who will be able to edit documents. By default, this is set to administrator and editor, and you can also allow the original creator of the document to edit as well. Once you're happy, you can click on Save Changes. I've already shown you pretty much everything you can do with this plugin, but there is one other way that you can display document tables on your website, and that's with the use of shortcodes. You can list documents by adding the Doc Library shortcode to any page on your website, but there are plenty of more advanced options than that. To get you started, here are some popular examples of different shortcodes to create some unique looking document libraries. Here's a shortcode where the content is simply the image, title, then content, date, and document author. This will simply display all of my documents and use the default settings that I've set up within the plugin. If I wanted to display documents from a single category, for example, then I could use something more like this, where it specifies the document category equals news, and you would just update this to whatever the category is that you want to display. And here's an example of a shortcode where I'm displaying documents from several different categories at once. So for example, finance, policies. And this is what it looks like on the front end. You can read the full list of shortcode options in our knowledge base, link in the description below. So that covers the main setup and features for Document Library Pro. As you can imagine, I couldn't possibly go through every single setting with you today, and there are plenty more integrations and add-on tools that I didn't even mention. So please check the links below to the knowledge base and to read more about the plugin in case you're interested. If you need any help setting up the plugin, our support staff are always ready to lend a hand. Just visit the support page on our website and get in touch. And in case it wasn't obvious, here's a link to the plugin. And if you like this video, I think you'll also like this one. And of course, thanks for watching.